It's been a tough year for many. Job cuts, salary cuts, and for those who are self-employed, lower income. All of this has meant that what we used to spend in a day, week, month, a year has suddenly dwindled. Now, the COVID crisis hit us in March. Since then, you've seen that things may be improving. Headlines are certainly suggesting it. Does that mean that by the time the end of the year rolls around, we can go back to spending as freely as we used to before this crisis hit us? Well, not exactly. Income, if you look at it from a top-down level and judge it by per capita income, will take 3 years up until FY23 to go back just to pre-COVID levels. We're using IMF estimates to suggest that. Now, that's income in nominal terms. There is inflation that has to be accounted for. Every year, there is some inflation in the economy. And if you adjust for that, perhaps it will take even longer, more than 3 years, before your spending power returns. But there is one other thing to factor. Remember, if we were in a normal economy, we would have all seen increments, small maybe, but still increments, which means our spending or saving power would have grown. Now, over this next 3-year period, we will just be catching up with what our salary and income levels were pre-COVID, which means that any gains we would have gotten from increments actually have now been sacrificed, and so has the spending power. Now, of course, that's a top-down view. Things will differ for everybody. If you look at an industry view, for instance, RBI data suggests that manufacturing and non-IT services companies have seen the worst hit. Those took a 10% cut in staff costs in the April to June quarter, which means that they did either cut jobs or reduce salaries. So employees of those sectors will perhaps find it tougher, and it will be a longer haul for them to recover. Those in IT services, for instance, saw no cut in staff costs, maybe, and they will continue to grow their incomes and their spending power. This will also, to some extent, depend on the individual industry you may work for. So, for instance, if you work for hospitality or for real estate services, it may take that much longer for you to recover your income and then spending power. Now, what does all of this mean for the broader economy? It means that consumption will be impacted. There are some signs already of changing consumption patterns. These were pointed out by Nielsen, and that Nielsen report was cited by Kotak Institutional Equities. It showed 3 trends. First, there is down trading, which means that we are still buying the same things, but we're buying a cheaper version of them. There's a shift towards value for money, large packets. So we are trying to get as much saving out of our purchases. And there's increased purchase of private label or non-branded goods. So once again, we are sacrificing the desire to perhaps buy branded goods and replacing them with cheaper private labels. Now, it's a bit of a vicious cycle that we are stuck in, because lower consumption will mean lower investment and then once again fewer jobs and lower income growth. How do we break out of it? It's not clear at this stage.